to order. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you could remain standing, I'll give the invocation tonight. Thank you, God, for bringing us here safely tonight. Please give us the guidance and the wisdom to make the right decisions for our community. And this we pray, amen. 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 May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martinez.
Present.
Altemuller. Reed.
Present.
Bradford.
Present.
Mayor Marquez.
Present. Item number 5, communications from the staff.
I don't believe we have any tonight.
Okay.
None of the staff had anything to bring up tonight.
Okay.
That's here for another presentation, please. So.
All right. Item number 6, items from the public. These are non-agenda items. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in the meetings, it would be appreciated if you would limit your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. Matters under the jurisdiction of the Council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public at this time. However, California law prohibits the Council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on a non-agenda item? Okay. Items from the public. These are agenda items. Any member of the audience desiring to address the council on a matter on the agenda, please raise your hand or step to the podium at the time the item is announced by the mayor. In order that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak, any person addressing the council will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes unless the mayor and council grants a longer period of time. Is there anybody who would like to speak on a matter on the agenda? Okay. Item number 7, this is the consent calendar. 7A is approval of the warrants. 7B is approval of the minutes of January 12th, 1999 regular meeting. And the 7C is a resolution number 99 next number, resolution designating the Department of Environmental Resources as the enforcement agency for Labor Code 6404.05, the smoke-free workplace. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull on the consent calendar? Can we have some direction on that?
I move approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 8, these are public hearings. At this time, we have no public hearings, so we'll move on to item number 9. This is regular business. Item 9A, this is to authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with Nash & Company to complete a classification and compensation study for a total not to exceed cost of $7,800. Cleve?
Just briefly, as I've mentioned in my report, this is in our budget this year to complete a classification and compensation study for the city. We received 3 proposals. As you can see, there's quite a wide range in the cost of those 3. I have personally worked with the number 2 quote of Personnel Concepts, and they do very good work. I'm very pleased with their work. I have not worked with Nash & Company. However, I did call some other cities where they have worked, and I'm comfortable that they can do the work and do a good job for us. They did receive some good recommendations. So my recommendation is based on the cost and the quality of the work that we recommend that Nash & Company perform the study.
Okay. Are there any questions for Cleve?
I do. I have a question. When I was reviewing this, I noticed that the budget had there was a $10,000 advocated for this, and the cost is only going to be $7,800.
Right.
So where will those other funds be able to be placed? Is that up for grabs? Or?
Well, those will just remain in the budget, and
for the same purposes, or could it
no,
be shifted to
no.
something else?
Well, it could be. If other issues come up over, during the year, we will look at that, and we'll probably note that. The problem is that this study will not be finalized. There's always the possibility that there could be something that would come up that would be an extra cost. I don't know that I don't foresee that happening, but it could be.
Okay.
So it'll probably be March, April by the time we're done with this and finally get it implemented when we say whether or not the money is available. But what happens is that at the year end, we show that we had a balance in this, and we just start all over again with the budget, realizing that didn't get spent in the general fund. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? I just have a couple questions, Cleve. Regarding, we spoke a little bit about the personnel concepts proposal. Although it was $4,200 higher, there were a couple of things in here that I liked. As, for example, the job analysis questionnaire, the project time schedule seemed to be a little bit clearer, and also the I know on the one the staff is recommending speak about a couple of meetings. If we could just get a little bit more of a definite time frame on when it'll come back to the council for a couple of meetings. So if we can incorporate these couple of things from this into this here, then
I think that I can talk to the consultant and get that time frame tightened up once we know, a little bit more. Once they know that they've got it, that it's approved, and et cetera, then they can proceed to tighten that up. They have committed that they will be able to meet our time schedule. There's a couple of things that we need to have in there. Number one, they are doing a compensation study. If there are any recommendations that come out of that, we need to have that for two things. Number one is our union negotiations that we have coming up this spring, and number two is the budget. Have that information available to be considered for those two items. So we need to have this done by at least April, the first to middle part of April, in order to consider it in both of those processes. So,
okay. Being that there are no further questions, may we have some direction on this item, please?
I so move that we authorize the city manager to execute agreement with Nash and Company to complete a classification and compensation study for a total not to exceed cost of $7,800.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Martinez?
Yes?
Altemuller?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Redford?
Yes.
Mayor Marquez?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 9B, this is a resolution number 99 next to number, a resolution authorizing installation of no parking signs.
yeah.
Good evening. You'll find in your packet there's a memo from the Chief of Police outlining what our plans are for Stemmer Road. Also, there's a map in your packet that will outline some of the it will outline the area that we're proposing to place stop signs. This is a result of an ongoing problem that's been occurring on North Stemmer Road for many years. The proposal would be to place stop signs, or not, I'm sorry, not stop signs, but no parking signs along this area of North Stemmer Road. And we took a look at it, and we felt that 5 signs could be placed. The signs would be no parking between signs that would allow us to space them out. An area from the east end of the ball field near the Louis Newman building where the drainage ditch ends here, and to the west where the ditch comes out of the property just west of the ball fields. In this area, during several events that include athletic events, at Orstema High School, as well as the band review and other activities, there's a large amount of traffic that travels on Orstema Road. Not only the large traffic this by nature, but also as a dedicated truck route. When there are activities at the ball fields, cars tend to park along this area that's outlined on the map. This area is about 8 feet wide from the edge of the roadway to the ditch. When cars park along this roadway, they typically park on the road, and when they exit their cars, they'll open their doors into the lane of traffic. We've had several near misses along this roadway over the years, including one non-reported accident last year along this roadway during the Easter tournament. The tournament runs 3 days in length during the Easter vacation. It's attended by 8 schools from out of the area. A large amount of spectators come to watch these games, and they tend to park along this roadway. Not only do they park on the south side as well as the north side, which then reduces the lane of traffic, which Orstema Road is only 24 feet in width as it is right now. So when cars park on both sides of the roadway, it severely reduces the width of the lane for traffic, which then creates a problem when cars go to pass in either direction. So if you have two trucks, one's going one's going west, one's going east, the likelihood of us having a serious accident there is very great at this point. So we're proposing that we place 5 no parking signs, spread them out from one end of the ball fields to the other end near the Louis Newman building, which would eliminate parking on the north side of Worth Timber Road altogether. And I know that would be a welcome sight for the residents who live in this area as well. And that's up for your consideration. The budget impact is about $500. We've talked with Ernie Garza already about the issue. I believe the money is already budgeted in his signs budget, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so that's basically our proposal, that we'd like to have no parking signs on this area of our Simmer Road, and I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions for Lieutenant Caton, please?
I have one, Ed. You talked about parking being on both sides of the street.
That's correct.
And the no parking signs would be on the north side only?
Those no parking signs would be on city property. The opposite side of the traffic on North Simmer Road is county, and this area is city property.
Okay. Can they legally park on the south side?
Can they park?
See, I mean, you eliminate the problem on the one side, but then you still continue to have the problem on the south side.
Well, whether it's legal or not, it would not be legal in that if cars park partially on the roadway, which takes away from safe lane of traffic, well then no, that is not a legal parking condition. However, that's not something that's enforceable by us as a city police department because it's not in our jurisdiction.
Well, the condition will improve, I'm sure, if you put the signs on the north side, but I'm sure they'll continue to park on the south side.
That's another problem that we've addressed. I spoke with the athletic director at the high school. This is a main entrance gate here that goes into the ball fields that they leave open. Starting this year, they're going to close this gate and post a sign, not an entrance. So the idea is to get everybody to park in the high school parking lot and not use this area as an entrance at all. So that should hopefully help eliminate part of the problem as well.
Question. They're already parking on the south side now anyhow, aren't they? Because I've driven by there and I've seen cars parked on either sides of the road.
During events, yeah. Cars park on both sides of the
So
road.
at least if we get those no parking signs on the one side of the road, at least we're, saving at least 6 feet there of the
Well,
road.
we're going to eliminate a big part of the problem, but I think once they close that gate and post it as not a entrance, the school's also going to send out letters to the districts that come to the events, letting them know not to, drop kids off by buses there or so forth. So that should help eliminate the problem. But is it going to stop cars from parking there altogether on the south side? I would say not.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any further questions? Ed, if I could, Mayor, please. If that ditch were piped and possibly additional gravel or paving done, would it afford the opportunity to allow parking in that area?
If it was covered, cars would then be able to park completely off the roadway
Okay.
next to the gate. Yeah,
Okay.
it would eliminate it.
The second question, in the major events that they have, such as the Easter tournament you referred to, is there adequate parking without them having to go out there on the road?
There's adequate parking in the school parking lot.
It's just more convenient here because it's closer.
It's closer
Is
to
that
the
issue?
gate, and that's
Okay.
why people park there. And they've
Okay.
parked there for years, so it's hard to break old traditions.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ed.
Sure.
Okay, I'd like to bring it back to the council for some direction on this matter.
I move approval of resolution number 99. Next number, a resolution authorizing installation of no parking signs.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martino?
Yes.
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 Marquez?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you again, Ed. Item 9C, this is appoint members to the Downtown Streetscape Committee. Cleve? Basically, I'll just not prolong this, and you have my report there. The only thing I would like to add is I did have one other citizen call me today. That is Ken Rodriguez, who is interested in being on this committee. Is not a business owner, is a property owner in the city, so would fit that category of a citizen in the community for committee. With that, I would give it to the council for any recommendations. We would hope to get one recommendation from, as a city council member to be part of this committee. And then the makeup, whether or not you determine to use the makeup I suggested, that's open. That doesn't have to be. But I do recommend that we get, I don't know, at least around 5 to 7 or more members to really give the opportunity to review that. I did have the first meeting with the consultant yesterday, and they are well underway in the process of looking at this project. So, okay. All right. Are there any questions from the council on this matter? With regards to the makeup of the committee and how it's structured? At this point, Cleve, Bob, did you have? Okay. Cleve, on this, so you have, according to you had the 3 plus the new member. Right, but we really hadn't advertised this. It's just about what's been gone on in the city council meetings. So we really haven't done anything to invite people to come in and express their interest. But okay. I don't know if there's any council members that have talked to anybody that's interested at all either. But well, the thing I'd like to see us do then, if we're actually not to the point where we're ready to you know, where we actually have a committee, the thing that I would like to see us maybe do is keep this to a minimum. I'd say 7 members. You know, I want to see us get this process moving as quickly as possible. You know, I don't want this to become another study that we've had in the past where, you know, they sit on the shelf and there isn't any. So, yeah, frankly, I think that, you know, I really don't think that we're ready to complete this until, I mean, we haven't done any advertising on this at all. Well, no. I think that would probably be the first step. That's the direction. That's what to maybe advertise it, and then, you know, and see who all we get, you know, that comes forward, and then bring it back to the council after that. But okay. You know, at least a preliminary preliminary advertising and what the scope of this is going to entail. That way people at least know what they're getting themselves into. But that would be my recommendation. So we'll bring this back to you at your meeting on the 9th of February then. Okay. Reconsider. Item 9D, this is authorized participation in the West Side Fire Master Plan Study at a cost of $5,000. Cleve? Okay, this is something that actually originated in the city of Patterson. As you know, the city of Patterson is experiencing quite a bit more growth than we are, and so they have some concerns as far as the future of fire service. They have a similar but not the exact same situation as we do as far as their fire department. Their fire chief is actually the West Stanislaus County fire chief. But they do have some concerns as far as where they're going in the future, location of new fire stations, and et cetera. And so they had talked to the county, West Stanislaus Fire District, and City of Newman. Myself and the mayor attended a meeting on this to review what the proposal is and where they want to go. And the first thing that I've stressed in a couple of meetings that I've had, both with the city managers and I believe we've talked at that meeting, is that Newman is in very good shape when it comes to fire. I mean, our ISO rating of a 3 is almost unheard of for a volunteer fire department. We have excellent service. We have excellent water supply, and all of those things add up to what we have in our ISO rating, which is very helpful to us. But the concern and the reason that I'm recommending is that we're not going to be at 5,800 population forever. And as we grow, we do need to consider this, and I think this affords us an opportunity to look at something and participate in this study that'll be the whole west side of Stanislaus County, and be able to consider the obstacles that we may come up against in the future, and allow us to be part of this study and probably get the study done a lot cheaper than what we would be doing if we tried to do it ourselves. I think that one of the people that will be doing the study it's listed here as Maxfield and Associates. He's got a partner, Bob Olson is someone who I worked with on a study in Lathrop, similar type of study, and we were very satisfied with the work that they did. And And so I think that this is a good study. I don't think that anything is going to come out of it that's going to be a recommendation that Newman would look at implementing immediately, just because I think that the way we're operating currently is very good. However, I think there will be things that will be useful to us that we can prepare for, that we may be able to use somewhere down the road. And the other thing is, as I mentioned in the report, that we can make sure that our interests are considered in this study. As I mentioned, if something should happen to come out of this study that says that this fire station where West Stanislaus has some of their equipment is not the best location for that, that could be a hindrance to us in performing what we need to. If they're not participating in the cost of that station, or in assisting in having equipment and mutual aid interests in that station. So for those reasons, I'm recommending that we consider participation in this study with the other jurisdictions.
Thank you, Cleve. Are there any questions for the city manager?
The question I had, when we put out the request for bids for proposals for the classification and compensation study, we received several bids.
Mm-hmm.
And along with them, there were several specific references listed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how these, the staffing, the project organization and staffing was selected for this study, and what kind of references specifically do they have?
Yeah, that was mainly done by the city of Patterson. They basically went out and just did it not on an RFP, but just by phone references and talking to people who did this type of study. And I will say that the reason I am comfortable with this is simply because I have worked for Mr. Olson, who was part of that, and I did do an extensive study in Lathrop of that and did references on him at that time, and I'm very comfortable with the work that he does. So, but that's the process they went through. Rather than a formal RFP, they simply went out and called and talked around and found out who there is that does these type of studies. So.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I just want to reiterate what Cleve had said. We had made it perfectly clear right off the bat that we're very happy with our fire service, but this was just a matter of us being able to get into this report here for an inexpensive cost. And as we all know, this entire valley is going to grow, and the west side in particular with Patterson and Newman will be growing as well. And this was just a way for us to look at what our options are going to be down the road in regards to fire service. So I wholeheartedly recommend this as well. So, can we have some direction on this matter, please?
Make a motion that we authorize participation in the West Side Fire Master Plan study at a cost of $5,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Altenhour?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Redford?
Yes.
Mayor Marquez?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 9E, this is to authorize city manager to negotiate agreement with the city of Ceres for exchange of $115,000 of state transportation improvement program funds for $109,250 of local transportation funds. Cleve?
This item has come up recently, as your Mayor Marquez knows. The SAG has been going through the process of selecting projects for use of state transportation improvement program money. Got to get that acronym right. And they were actually to the point where they determined, what projects they were going to be funding, what the funding levels were going to be for each jurisdiction based on some formulas that they had used. And what it came down to is the city of Ceres has a major project, which if you know the city, it's their, what's the intersection now?
Whitmore.
Whitmore, excuse me. Whitmore intersection, or the interchange project. And they don't have enough money to complete that project, and it's one that they would like to expedite and not have to wait another year to do. So they came up with this idea of being able to sell their LTF funds, which are local transportation funds, in exchange for these state transportation improvement project funds. And the exchange, as noted in here, is 95 cents on the dollar. This was actually approved by the Ceres City Council last night. As I mentioned in this report, this was brought back to you kind of at a late date because of the need to submit our projects to the state by February 2nd. So they need an answer from us at this meeting whether or not we want to go through this. There are a couple of pieces to the puzzle that I am still not right sure of. One of them is the city of Ceres has mentioned to me that, or I've learned through Gary Dixon at SAG, that they do not have currently available the full amount of LTF funds that they need to buy the STIP funds that they're proposing to get from all of the small cities. This is not just the city of Newman, it's all the small cities in the county. But they will have them over the next 6 months at least. And so all that is saying is that some cities may not get their money immediately, but they may get them in 4 or 5 months. My concern would be we're pretty much ready to go on our annual project, so my concern would be with them is that we'd be one of the first ones to get the money. My guess is that that's probably not a problem because many of these other cities very likely will not be ready to go with their projects immediately, and therefore they can be put second in line or third in line to get this money where we get that. That is really the only issue. I personally have not had to go through this STIP project in positions that I've been in before, this type of program. But what I did is I asked SAG to send me some information on what I can use to justify doing this. And they sent me a couple of flow charts. I guess you can call these flow charts. As you can see, they go in every different direction. And anyway, those are the flow charts that you have to go through to participate in this state transportation improvement project program. So the other thing that I did is I talked to several cities, some in Stanislaus County and some outside, to see what their opinion was on this. I also talked to our city engineer. All of those wholeheartedly says if you can get 95 cents on the dollar exchanging STIP money for LTF money, which basically has a lot less strings attached, is a lot easier to use, they would jump at the chance. Quite often I've learned the cost factor, the exchange factor is 85 cents on the dollar. They're much more reasonable. They're proposing 95 cents on the dollar in order to move this along. So that's really all I have to add to this. I would recommend that we go ahead with the exchange as is noted in the report. It's actually a reduction of $5,750, but our anticipation is that we would save at least that much in engineering costs in preparing all the reports and studies that would be necessary to go through the state transportation improvement project.
Let me just add one thing to what Cleve had said. I was at the last meeting at SAG when they had talked about this. One of the things that I had told Cleve was that I didn't recall them mentioning the 95 cents on the dollar, but the reason that the series would like to do this is because one of the things that the state transportation would like is to have what they call clean money, where it's all coming out of the same fund, out of the state transportation improvement program money. And basically, and I've been told also by Gary Dixon, is getting the local transportation funds is a lot quicker in the process. It cuts out a lot of the bureaucracy, having to file a lot of this paperwork and these reports with the state. And you know, being that our project is ready to go, it would be a shame to have this thing held up a couple months just because of unnecessary bureaucracy. The only thing that I have to add to it is that I would not feel comfortable unless we were first in line. And I know the other smaller cities, I'm not sure that they're as far along as we are in terms of their projects. So that would be the only recommendation that I would have is that we were absolutely certain to be first in line for the money, or to get all of it at once and not have to wait 3 or 4 months. But anyway.
My only recommendation along with that, Charles, would be at least to guarantee that we have the money when we need it to go forward with our annual project. We're still finalizing the plans on that, and we'll be ready to go out to bid very soon here. But as long as we can guarantee that we have the money for that project when we need it, I think would be our main concern.
Okay. Are there questions from the council?
Go ahead.
When would we know how far down the line we are to receive those funds?
We need to have a negotiated agreement in place so that they can submit their projects by February 2nd. So I'm assuming that I'm going to be getting contacted tomorrow to say, you know, when can we put this agreement together. So yeah, we'll know almost immediately.
I know when I
They've got to
was-
have an answer.
When I was reviewing this,
Mhm.
I was like excited. I was like, this is just too good to be true, you know, because that is a high rate.
Mhm.
And I was just amazed at how, I mean, it's just perfect timing. It's almost like it's being dropped in your lap
Yeah.
for this project. So I was excited when I read that.
Yeah, what were the figures on the amount of money we were spending on the Inyo project?
Gosh, I didn't bring those with me. Total is going to be close to $300,000.
I think it's 273,000.
273, is that what?
That's the city's cost of that, right? Or is
Yes.
part of that done with the railroad and?
No, that is, I believe, in the latest figures that we've done, that is just the city's portion, the 273,000.
Okay, so this 109,000 would go toward that 300,000?
Toward that 275 or 273,000, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions, may we have some direction on this item, please?
I move that we authorize the city manager to negotiate an agreement with the city of Ceres for exchange of $115,000 of state transportation improvement program funds for $109,250 of local transportation funds.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes?
Councilmember?
Yes.
Yes.
Bradford?
Yes.
Mayor Marquez?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item number 10, these are items from the city manager.
Okay, a couple of things that we need to take care of. Number one is we need to schedule interviews for our planning commissioners and Parks and Recreation commissioners. One concern we currently have is that we have 3 openings on the Parks and Recreation Commission. We've only the deadline passed and we only received 2 applications. And we are still accepting those if more come in. We have 2 openings, correct, Judy, on the Planning Commission, 3 openings on the Planning Commission, and we have 5 applications, so we do have sufficient applications on there. According to the policy that we reviewed and accepted at our last meeting, I believe it was, we agreed to schedule a special meeting to do those interviews. The Parks and Recreation Commission, their terms actually expire, I believe, the end of this month. Is that correct, Judy? Planning Commission goes into February. The end of February? Okay, so we do have a little bit of time there. My recommendation is to consider doing that one of the Tuesdays in between our meetings, either the next Tuesday or it would move to the 3rd Tuesday in February. And I'll leave that to your discretion, what you would how you'd like us to schedule that. If we do it the first Tuesday in February, that would be next Tuesday.
Fine with that.
That's okay. It's a good day.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Just remember, on the Planning Commission, there's a conference coming up in Monterey, first part of March. Okay, So plans have to be made, so it should be done. thank you. Okay?
And now what are we going to do with regard to the Parks and Recreation Commission? Is that still open? Is that?
Yeah, we will still accept applications, and, you know, if we can get them in by the end of this week, and we can still get them in for the interviews, we'll try to schedule the interviews. I think what we should do is go ahead and, if you want to, I will let you know that the 2 applicants that have applied are 2 that are currently on the commission.
Okay.
And so, I don't know if they're the only 2, if you still want to interview them, or if you want to just reappoint them, and then we would continue to try and get additional applications to fill the 3rd position.
Mhm. Well, I think we should just go through the process.
And still,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. I mean, we've
Okay.
had one joint meeting, and you know, I'd certainly like to know what the what their agenda is for the future
Okay.
for the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and schedule them for interviews also, and if any of you can find someone to recommend to come in and fill out an application that may be interested in the Parks and Recreation Commission, we'll continue to try to solicit those also.
Okay.
And if we can get somebody, we'll
But
schedule.
Can we have a definite closing date though on that? Because
For the Parks and Recreation Commission? Yeah, we can. Actually, we already had it once, and
Right,
it
the
came and
20th,
went,
right,
but
okay.
we can schedule it again.
can we say maybe next Friday?
So a week from Friday.
Yeah.
Do you still want to interview these 2 next week? or do you want to hold off interviewing them?
Well,
We'll have to hold off.
when would be the day?
We're going to move the deadline out.
Yeah, why not?
What we're proposing is next Tuesday to interview.
Oh, well, then let's just do it this Friday. Let's just see.
Make the
what-
deadline
for
this
Friday,
Friday.
Oh.
We wouldn't be able to publish anything. We could continue to
Well,
accept applications.
let's just keep accepting applications then. It's fine.
Okay. And if you get enough, get more and want to appoint on Tuesday when you interview, you can do that. If you're not comfortable, you could always recommend that we receive more applications, I suppose.
Okay.
And open up,
All right.
up again. Okay? So we will schedule those for next Tuesday. Regular time or what?
Where were we talked about having it somewhere else, didn't we?
Did-
We can do that. We can try and schedule the library on Tuesday. Yeah, we can get the library possibly.
How about
Um,
6 o'clock? The library, I know we can't have after 8.
Right, we would have to quit at 8, so we'd have to try and, can we meet at 6 instead of 7?
6 is good.
On that date?
I'll try. I will
Okay.
try to. I may not be able to make it that early.
Okay, but you may be a little bit late but you could.
If I can get back here
Okay.
in time by then. I wasn't
Okay.
anticipating,
Right.
but 7 o'clock I could definitely make.
Okay,
I may be late, so, I will do what I can.
what's your wishes then? Continue it at 6 o'clock, still do it at 6 o'clock
Yeah,
then?
I think so.
Okay,
2 hours anyway.
okay. Let's see. The other items that I wanted to bring up, first of all, I'll cover this one. I have a letter from the Department of Housing and Community Development notifying us that we did receive our grant of $852,000 for the home funds for our senior project, which is very good news. I had Margaret get me some data on that. There were 90 applications for these funds. 48 were awarded funds, and the City of Newman ranked 19th in the process.
Wow.
So I think we're to be congratulated on that. Very good. It's one that we've been trying for a long time. We finally got. This is really a good thing because it kind of gives us our go-ahead for our senior project now.
Fantastic.
We should be able to move
On
ahead
that,
of
Cleve,
that.
can we let the local newspaper know that we received that? That way people know.
Actually, we already have, but he
Okay.
promised he wouldn't publish it until after I
Okay.
told you, so. Yes, he has the information, so.
We're
Yes,
always the last
that will
thing.
actually probably be in the paper on Thursday, so. Like I say, that's good news for us. The only other two items quickly for me to cover, this Thursday and Friday, I will be attending our Central San Joaquin Valley Risk Management Authority retreat in Monterey as a board member on that committee. And then next week, unfortunately, these fall right together on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, is the League of California Cities City Managers Conference in Monterey also. So I will be out Thursday and Friday of this week, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week for information. And that's all I have.
Okay. Councilmember Martina,
I have nothing tonight.
Altamüller,
Nothing tonight.
Bradford,
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Reed.
Just, anyone's interested in the Recreation Commission, being on the Recreation Commission, please come down and let us know at City Hall so we can get some more people out there. And one other thing, regarding the Streetscape Committee, the theater had proposed a while back to a campaign to raise funds to put bricks with people's names on or whatever in front of the theater. And Todd Rocha has made up a drawing for that, so it can be turned over to the committee, whoever it may be, and incorporated with RRM in that. Thank you.
Great.
I'll just add that RRM has already been made aware that that is something the theater group wants to do, so.
Well, we have
Good.
an idea what it's
Good.
going to be now, so.
Good.
Okay. I have a couple items. Cleve, with regard to our mid-year budget review meeting will be when?
The second meeting in February, we've got that set up for, so that's what, the 16th, 23rd,
Okay.
I believe.
Were we going to bring back, there was a couple items in there that I was interested in bringing back. The one was in regards to the grant writer position. Was
We can
that
look at
something?
That's something that does not necessarily have to be considered as part of the budget, because most of these grant writers will work on a basis of a percentage of the grant which they are awarded.
Okay.
And therefore, I've already proceeded. In fact, I'm beginning to work in conjunction with the school, with a grant writer for a grant that they're going after that we'll be looking at participating in with them, an after-school program grant. So that's one option for a grant writer. I've talked to her briefly, and she's going to come down and talk to me again. There's one other source that I'll be looking at, but that is something that I will be bringing back to you possibly at that same time if I can get all the information from them at that time.
All right. Secondly, have we had any contact with Mr. Bertolotti regarding a walkthrough in our
Yeah,
alley?
I have a meeting. I talked to Councilmember Reed about that. We've got it set up for next Tuesday at 9 o'clock
Okay.
to do that walkthrough.
Okay. And you'll come back to us with information?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
Also, another thing, one last thing here, or actually two things here, with regarding to street lighting. One of the things that I've noticed is that, and I am aware that the shopping center that their lights are privately done and that, but I'd noticed that there's about 6 or 7 of them that are out, and whether it's them that handle that or not. I mean, I think as a courtesy, we had to at least contact them. And one of the things that when you go through shopping centers, there isn't anything that's worse when you see lights that are out and you have this visibility problem when you come out of the store. So maybe if we could contact them, that way we could get maximum visibility there. And finally, this is with regards to the John's Muffler there on the highway. I've mentioned a number of times regarding the 2 lights that have been out for a long time, and they may be on his piece of property, but that's another issue of maybe extending a courtesy and figuring out how we could get those old non-working lights out of there, because I imagine we've spent good money now to do this RRM design group, this streetscape committee, and we're going to move forward on this whole thing, and we're already getting to the point where we're looking at appointing members, and the last thing that I'd want to see is RRM design group coming back to us and recommending things that need to be taken out that we should know to take out ourselves. So if we could do that, and possibly one of the things that I would ask for as well is, when Councilmember Reed and yourself are in the process of doing your walkthrough, perhaps maybe you could do a walkthrough through downtown. There are some signs some road construction signs that I've noticed that are still up with regards to the railroad crossing at Merced Street. If you could just maybe do a walkthrough and just maybe point some things out that maybe we could get on to eliminate before we move further with this downtown study. And that's all I have.
Actually, I do have a minor item. I wanted to state, knowing that there will hopefully be somebody watching this when it airs. I guess it airs tomorrow night on the TV. I'm going to be filming a documentary at some of the local animal shelters about the process that the animals go through when they're picked up and what happens. And I'm going to be interviewing the people that handle the animals, people that adopt, and people that have to turn their pets over for different reasons. And I'm going to be making this documentary available at a cost, this is for my own personal self, at just the cost of making the documentary, the film itself, and that's it, and postage. And I want to make it available to anybody who's interested. I haven't got the cost yet. I will be setting up my voicemail at the city, and they can contact me there. I will get that all set up this week, hopefully by Friday. And what I'm hoping to do as a city council member is get ideas from the citizens on any suggestions that they may have to help get pets off the street, get these dogs and cats, especially dogs, because they can be vicious, off of the streets. As you know, my husband was mauled by a dog in December, and the dog also killed our family pet, who is a major part of our family as any human being was. And it was devastating for us, and it shouldn't have happened, and it was totally preventable. And I would just like to get some ideas from different citizens on what they think would be appropriate to help these people keep their pets controlled. And also, I am going to be taking some of my $100 that I receive from this. Half of it's going to go to Parks and Recreations, and the other half I will be using towards donating to people who maybe don't have the money to spay or neuter their pets. And, set up some sort of a fund, that would be $50 a month allocated towards that. Work out something with the local veterinarian here and start to try to get some of these, put my money where my mouth is and get some of these pets spayed so we don't have so many dogs running around on the streets and cats. And, just so that a tragedy like this may be prevented. And I just think it's really important to have really good, humane animal control in the city, and it's just something that's very near and dear to me. I've always been fond of animals, especially dogs. And then when we lost our dog and my husband was mauled, nearly killed, that you realize that there's more than just saving these animals. It's making sure that they're not harming other people and other animals. So I just would like the citizens to contact me if they have any ideas. And I will be getting my voicemail set up for now. If you just want to contact, poor Judy, if you want to just contact the city and they can take your number down and I will be happy to call you. Anyways, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. On that, just briefly, were we going to have something come back with regards to the animals and with the fines, and were we going to look at anything like that?
There's nothing proposed right now. If the council would like us to look at that and bring something back, I know that the police chief has talked to Councilmember Altamiller about some various ideas, but there's some things that have been kicked around, but there's nothing formal proposed at this point.
Well, if the council wouldn't mind, I'd like to maybe see us pursue something like that, just as far as what, the fines that the county is levying. I know we work with the county on that, but if we could just maybe work with them and as Councilmember Altamiller said, maybe throw some ideas out and figure out how we could, do this process a little bit better.
Perhaps what the avenue might be would be to first bring it back in a report informational item of what the current process is, what the fines are, and et cetera, and then we can get some direction of what you would like us to review and what areas you'd like us to pursue further. Is that acceptable?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also I will add that I've been speaking with Dr. Sullivan, who is the primary veterinarian at the Westside Animal Clinic right here on Main Street, and she's mentioned to me that one of her ideas would be, and I'll do this briefly, one of her ideas would be if we can somehow get the county to charge an extremely different amount, a higher amount for dogs and cats who haven't been spayed and neutered, so that it would be cost effective for them to just spay the dog or neuter them. In other words, right now I think it's like $12 a year to license your dog, if I'm not mistaken, which is cheap. But if your dog's not spayed or neutered, I think it about doubles.
Yes, it
now, what
does.
if they made the licensing like $150 a year if your dog wasn't neutered, but still stay the same amount if your dog is neutered? It's going to be much cheaper to just have your dog spayed or neutered. And so I think that spaying and neutering and licensing is the first step to getting people to take, control of their animal. And I think that once they take that seriously, then they will take seriously the other things like keeping your dog confined in really good quarters rather than just putting them in a fence that blows as soon as the wind goes. So.
Okay. So you'll bring something back to us.
One thing I'd be interested in knowing too, when we get this report on our animal control officer and what kinds of activities that person's been conducting, I'd like to know what hours they're patrolling. I know a lot of times I'll go out in the evening after dark and there'll be one or two dogs roaming the neighborhood, and I'm wondering if is any patrolling going on by animal control at night, or is it all just during the day?
I believe it's mostly during the day, but we can bring that report back to you and
Okay.
let you know what activities and et cetera are going on. So,
Okay. If there are no other questions from the council, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Can we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed?